Before I start this review, I'd like to disclose that Ubisoft sent me a free copy of The Division on PC in order to review. With that said, that won't be affecting my final decision and opinion on the game itself. Hope you all enjoy. The Division is an RPG. Don't pass it off as another generic shooter this year. The Division is built to last way past its launch, like an MMO for example. More than 30 hours in, I've already completed the story, but I'm still in the Dark Zone PvPing and scavenging my way to find new rare loot. The Division takes place in the quarantine city of Manhattan. A modified version of smallpox named Green Poison was laced on thousands of dollars in the city, and on Black Friday, the disease was spread throughout the public. Now you, as a sleeper agent of the Homeland Agency, better known as the Division, are activated to help the JTF or the Joint Task Force to restore the city to order. The plot is interesting, and it slightly reminds me of a world reminiscent of the film Red Dawn, but with that said, even after completing the game and going back for party matches, I can barely even remember some of the characters' names. The story really didn't keep my attention, but the gameplay certainly did. The Division has you explore the open world of Manhattan. The city looks destroyed and abandoned. You see civilians scavenging for food and shelter, dogs running through the street, and just complete and utter chaos. Occasionally you'll find groups of bandits harming the citizens just trying to survive. The setting is truly despair, and it only becomes much more apparent when you pay attention to the collectibles in the game. On missions, you can find evidence that often show you the dark reality of this new city. You'll find security camera footage of innocent citizens being mugged by bandits and people being murdered in gruesome ways right after a camera pans away from the mug scene. There are some brighter moments though, where you can help survivors by giving them food in their time of need. There's even some beauty in the city still, like the section covered with Christmas lights and snow falling. It's quite lovely. Admittedly, the introduction of the game is a little intimidating. There's a lot of stats and information being thrown at you all at once on the game HUD without much of an explanation. However, once you complete the short tutorial and get a hang of the gameplay, you'll feel right at home. At the beginning of the game, you're able to create your own personal agent that you'll play as. You can choose their gender, their facial structure, and their hairline, but overall it's a pretty simple character creation tool which really isn't anything too fancy. Rather than having a class system like other traditional RPGs, you can customize your character's weapons and abilities to change up what they're specifically good at. Additionally, you can equip skills that will help balance out the different character loadouts. For example, there's a skill that lets you scan the area to mark any enemies within the radius. There's also a skill that lets you shoot out a sticky bomb at a long distance to take out large groups of enemies. These skills greatly change up the gameplay and offer different ways to approach very similar conflicts. As far as how progression in the game works, the open world system has different types of missions. You have your story missions that progress the campaign forward, but more than often you'll need to complete some side missions to level up your character to even be able to tackle these story missions. There's also post areas around the map where you can take back parts of the city being held hostage by bandits. Once you complete the main story, you'll be introduced to the Dark Zones. These are areas that pretty much have no rules. You can find a lot of rare loot here, but within the Dark Zone, it's all free game. Online players can attack other online players, NPCs are tougher, and it's pretty much a war zone. You'll definitely need to team up with friends or other players to survive, but just as it is easy to team up with a stranger, it's just as easy to be betrayed by one. Now you can tackle the game by yourself. The game actually adjusts its difficulty to correspond to the number of players in a mission. So if you play the game by yourself, you may experience a wave of 7 enemies, but if you're in a party of 4 for example, you may experience something like a wave of 20 enemies that are much tougher than those original 7. Either way, if you're a player that doesn't like playing games with other people, you have the option to do so. With that out of the way, I have to say one of the best features in this game is just how social it is. This whole past week I've been spending my nights staying up late doing some side missions with my friends online. Constantly we would start at 9 PM and say we'd go up until midnight, and suddenly the sun would be rising outside when we were done. It's definitely been one of the most captivating gaming experiences for me this year. Now for a game that heavily focuses on online play, the city for the most part is pretty empty in terms of online players. You really only see a few online avatars in the safe house that act like mini game hubs for you to purchase new weapons and meet up with other players. There was one issue really early at launch during the tutorial part of the game where there was an abundance of new players at the safe house, making it almost impossible to press the F button on the laptop we needed to do in order to continue on the game. This led on to the line simulator joke that's been going around the internet regarding this game, although most recently Ubisoft patched this and it's no longer a real issue. To be honest with you guys, I had a little to no interest in The Division before it was released, and since I started playing the game, I really can't put it down. I love the social aspects of it, I love going on missions with my friends, and the city is fun to explore. 1 week into the game and I'm having a blast. Now it's really up to Ubisoft to continue to provide new content and incentives to keep me playing. As long as the new rare loot is there, The Division will come. Thank you all very much for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to smash that like button as it really does help others find the channel. If you want to talk or interact off of YouTube, you can find me on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. All those links are in the description below. Feel free to add me or follow me. Thank you all once again very much for watching the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.